I feel like each episode I get more and more tired of the qualms of the whole anonymity thing, and then I take away a little bit, show a little more skin. Yeah, so like, for example, now you have my elbows, my dry, ashy weenus, my unlotioned olecranon. I'm still getting adjusted to the mask all over again. I really need to fix the breathing. I kind of fixed the forehead a little bit, so the sock situation is a bit better, but I was hoping to kind of get a baseball cap and just kind of glue it onto a baseball cap, sort of, so that it, I don't know. And I also remembered to take off my wallet, so you can't see which state I'm from, but I've also reflected and realized that I kind of, for a lot of the background and things that I want to talk about and have already started talking about, I just should at least mention that I live in the States, the United States, yes, of America. Yeah, what a time to be American. But yeah, I was born here. My parents are Indian immigrants. They were born in India. They immigrated here with all the Y2K stuff. And I'm not going to give you much more specifics about like dates and stuff, because again, I don't really want to. I told you I was in my early 20s. I don't really think you need a specific number, because there's not a lot of early 20s, and I don't know, man. My brain's technically not fully formed yet, if that helps. I'll let you know when it does, and then you can figure out what age I am or something like that. But that's not going to be for No, you know what? I'm not going to say that. So anyways, shoot, man. I literally even wrote down, like, so that I'd be less all over the place, but I think every time it's, like, the second the camera starts rolling and I got the mask on, and I just, like, suddenly I feel like a baby fresh from the womb, just understanding the world. But also, one of the reasons why I thought that, and, like, that wasn't something I, like, wrote down as, like, a thing that I wanted to cover. It was more the last thing that I like put on basically before I click record on the phone and the iPad is the like hand gloves and the bracelets. That's the word. And the thing is, on this one, it's like that little shitty gold beads that you see at all the pep rallies. And honestly, I kind of love our little dollar store beads, man. Like, they're never gonna not be nostalgic and just immediately raise, I don't know, some kind of adrenaline within me, so I put them on. And also the thing is, basically, I put this little ribbon, and like the point of that was that so I'd always have like a little bit of that like red, white, and blue, because I recognize that I'm not exactly the most, how do I put this? Okay, so the most conservative viewer might come on to this sort of a thing with my little rainbow lights and my demeanor and my, as it's been put before, opinionated self. So, like, I realize that that's just, like, it's a lot sometimes. But the thing is, like, I'm not even necessarily on the political spectrum someone that's completely, like, far left. I think I'm just kind of, I don't really know anymore, but I don't really care to label it anymore. I think it's the type of thing where the parties are just so, like, now the polarization is just, we'll get to it. But the thing is, basically, I'd encourage you to kind of not pull a hard and fast judgment on me, even though I recognize that, like, as I keep working on this, every video is going to be, like, a different snippet of the many multitudes that I am. So, God, I say so much when I'm recording. And the thing is, like, I don't do that in person. I just don't say anything. But I feel like any dead air that I have, I'm, like, not supposed to stop, but I should really just, you know, if it's gonna be silent in between, it's gonna be silent. Like this. This is an example. How does this sound? Is this good ASMR? We're getting off track, and I'm gonna, you know, I still have that, like, sort of storage limit. I didn't completely solve that situation, but I figured what I'd do is just kind of keep an eye on the time here, and then check back in around 40 minutes, which I'll definitely hit, because I'm a yapper. I never shut up, as we've basically established by now. But, yeah, and, like, worst case, if I don't get through everything, what I'll do is I'll just kind of move that video over and then keep rolling as, like, another thing, and do the thing, put the things together, and the, you know. So anyways, let's get the ball rolling. Okay, because otherwise we're gonna be at this yapping part for literally the whole episode. There's a piece of hair in the mask, sorry. I didn't want to eat it. Ew. Okay. Okay, so what was I saying? Yeah, basically just, like, there's a lot that I want to do with this, you know, like, I at the end of the day, part of it is just, it's a very, like, exciting and new endeavor, so I want to just do with it whatever I'm doing, because I've never really done any of this before, but at the same time, like, I do want it to do the useful things that I'm hoping that it'll do, mainly in the, like, getting connected to people who could really use the kind of help that I want to offer here, basically to cut through all of the, like, barriers right now that are there for the mental, physical, spiritual, emotional processing help type of things, you know, like, I don't know. But granted, it's not that, like, there aren't other people out there doing that, it's just that this is my way of doing that, and it's also me trying to very obviously have fun with it, so that it kind of gives you that kick of, like, hey, you do you too, boo. But yeah, okay, so let's go to the list. Yeah, I wrote a list of, like, basically the kind of rough order of things I wanted to roll in. I'm never gonna get used to breathing in this thing. Okay, so we're starting off basically where I left off the last episode, which is I wanted to start explaining reading the Mahabharata. So we're gonna do that. Alright. So this is the copy that I have, the one that I yoinked from Snoop Uncle, which, for those who... No, I can't keep making references to, like, continuity, I guess. I'll just say things, and then if you have a question, just, you know, you ask the question. That's how this works, right? Okay, Mahabharata. So basically, the Mahabharata is, like, the oldest, or, well, no, it's one of the, like, the oldest, like, mega epics, you know, like, long poem stories of ancient India, and, like, specifically, like, Hindu ancient India, and it's originally in Sanskrit, but this is an English prose, like, written in sentences translation, and I'll just read you the little back blurb about the author, because I think that's a good place to start. This is his face. I feel like I always hold it too high. Is this good? Prajaji. Okay. That was, like, nowhere near the... What was I doing? Hold up. You know what? It's like every time that my chin starts getting poked, I get distracted. I'm sorry. I'm just a distractible person. What can I say? I'm trying, though, you know. Bro. Now would be a good time for a bathroom break, I guess, if you're near the toilet, but... Or it was, because I'm about to start again. Anyways, Chakravarti. Chakravarti Rajagopalachari, popularly known as Rajaji, or CR, was a great patriot, astute politician, incisive thinker, great visionary, and one of the greatest statesmen of all time. He was a close associate of Mahatma Gandhi, hailed as a conscience keeper of the Mahatma, and as an ardent freedom fighter, as Chief Minister of Madras, as Governor of West Bengal, as Home Minister of India, and as the first Indian Governor General of India. He rendered yeoman's service to the nation, I don't know if I said that right, and left an indelible impression on our contemporary life. Rajaji was closely associated with Kulapati Munshiji, and he was among the distinguished founder members of the Bhavan. I don't know. I should know, but... Anyways, they had the privilege of publishing 18 books, see page 2, authored by him so far, the copyright of which he gifted to the Bhavan. All of Rajaji's works, especially on Marcus Aurelius, hey, callback to episode 1, when I mentioned Marcus, and I was like, I'm not him, but I'm me, and I think I'm cool, and I think I have valuable things to provide, at least to some of you guys, because like I said, people are weird, and there's a lot of weird people, and they might not necessarily, what am I talking about? Okay, no, it's fine, I just forget. The Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads are popular. Like, his works on all of that. Okay. In the Mahabharata, he has displayed his inimitable flair for storytelling and the applying morals of the stories to the needs of modern times. The stories were originally written in Tamil and blocked by the price code thingy. Come on, Snoop Dogg. Like my uncle Snoop. Not Snoop Dogg, Snoop Dogg. I love his song Signs. I think that might be my favorite one. I hope that's an okay one to have as favorite one, but it's just so catchy. Stuck on my nail. Will you tell me to stay the same? Okay, and have been rendered into English, mainly by Rajaji himself. To have preserved the beauty and spirit of the great original in refined and simple English is an achievement of the highest order. Rajaji passed away in 1972 at the age of 94. So, to put that into context, basically, I'm trying to think of I just want you to understand why I think when he lived is kind of important to, like, remembering how, like, I mean, like, his English is cool. It's fun words. He put words together very good. And, yeah, so, basically, 94, almost a century of life, okay, and he was born pre-Industrial Revolution and died post-Industrial Revolution, post-Great Depression, post-Civil Rights, post-India's independence, post-World Wars. Like, that's a lot of things, like, I was gonna say shit to live through, and I don't know why I stopped myself, but again, I think it's just the environment. I don't know. And also there's, like, the little voice in my head that's like, oh no, if you, like, say curse words on the internet, then, like, some of the older people won't want to watch any of this. And then I realized, like, well, they have a billion other reasons to, like, not, like, any of you have a billion reasons to not watch this. And I was talking to my partner as well about this, and he was like, you have to, like you said in the first one, like, this is for you. You have to remind yourself that anytime you get worried about what might affect the outcome of the video. And a place where I just want to tie it into, like, old Hindu scriptures is in the Bhagavad Gita, which is basically, it's a section of the Mahabharata that's, like, most referenced as, like, the religious main Bible type textbook, or like the Quran, for example, but like for Hinduism. And it's actually like a point of the story where if you're Desi or Indian or Hindu, you may know this already. So sorry if I'm repeating myself with any of this stuff, but it's not just for you, and it's also not just for me, even though it is mostly for me, right? But God, no matter what I do, this ends up like all over the place. No, I'm not sorry, because it's not just for you, it's for me. And this is how I work. Where was I? No, I'm not sorry. Oh my God. Okay. Bhagavad Gita. So, basically, like, one of the first quotes that I like, or like verses, whatever, that I had like memorized, but in like a, because it meant so much to me as someone that is an overthinker, or at least was more of an overthinker. I'm definitely better with it now. And it's like, karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phale heturbu ma te sangotsva karmani. And it basically means don't have attachment towards doing something, so like in the thing, it's like towards an action, like is like kind of the verbiage. Let not like the fruit of an action be the motivation for doing it. And don't also have attachment to inaction, or like not doing the thing that you're thinking of doing or contemplating, or, like don't basically let that consequence, potentially positive, because it's a fruit, and I guess that's kind of sweet, be the motivation. My sentence, where was my sentence going? Be the fruit of action. Yeah, don't have action towards, like, the inaction. Like, you should basically just be doing the action for the sake of having done the action, for the sake of doing, for the sake of being and choosing to do, if that makes sense. I don't know if it made sense to you, but it made sense to me. Which is not always the best marker of if it made sense to you, which is why the comment section exists. But yeah, so basically, even with like this type of an endeavor, the idea is I'm creating, not to get the views or the likes, monetary benefit, whatever it is. It's about making something that is just me experimenting with what I have available and what I can do and things that I'm interested in, and it's been doing wonders for my brain because, like, the medical study, it gets very monotonous in terms of the methods of study that we have to partake in, because we're not controlling the system that we're participating in order to get the education, right? Yeah. So I just be due. And as much as I'm, I still need some time to get used to being fully comfortable in doing my thing without worrying too much about, like, the opposite side of it. Like, practice is what makes perfect, or at least close to perfect, because fuck perfection, overrated. God isn't perfect, and neither are you. Neither should you be. The universe isn't perfect. Nature isn't perfect. Nothing is perfect. So, but, like, that's the thing, is this is also not going to be perfect, and I don't want to get in the habit of worrying about that. Every single one of these is going to be different, and I think that's kind of the beauty of it, is, like, it's a diary. You get these snippets of me in different points of my life, when I'm looking into different things. If this had been a thing, back when I was binging Jane the Virgin, you would have gotten some heated analyses of how much the show was, like, amusing and, like, binge-worthy as hell, but also, like, what is she doing? Like, there would have been so many things. Same thing could apply for, like, I don't know why that was the first thing that came to mind, but, like, I think it's because I thought about rewatching it the other day because of the news about the court case and stuff. I was like, oh. Anyways, but not off topic. Okay, back to this. Bro, what time are we at? No way, 20 minutes, and I'm not even past the first bullet. Okay, it's fine. I spend like half the time trying to breathe and sigh behind the mask. But you know what? Life has become way too fast, and I want this to kind of make you slow down. So, slow down. Breathe with me, like what? Okay. So it starts off with this like preface to how the whole thing gets written and jotted down and stuff. So Ganapati described, Bhagavan Vyasa, the celebrated compiler of the Vedas, was the son of the great sage Parasara. It was he who gave to the world the divine epic of the Mahabharata. Having conceived the Mahabharata, he thought of the means of giving the sacred story to the world. He meditated on Brahma, the creator, who manifested himself before him. Vyasa saluted him with bowed head and folded hands and prayed, Lord, I have conceived an excellent work, but cannot think of one who can take it down to my dictation. Brahma extolled Vyasa and said, O sage, invoked Ganapati and O sage, invoke Ganapati and beg him to be your amanuensis, which I believe means scribe. Something like that. Context clues. Having said these words, he disappeared. The sage Vyasa meditated on Ganapati, who appeared before him. Vyasa received him with due respect and sought his aid. So I'm going to pause here and then give some context because there's no way we're going to get through a lot of this without context because, some of you guys don't have any. I don't blame you. Okay, so basically, Vyasa is the person who's like composing. He's composed all of the poem, like verses and stuff in his head. And so the story's going that he is like, man, like, how do I get this to like fix, so that we can like do things with it. It's a good story. We want to share it so people can learn from it. And so he thinks and he meditates on Brahma, the creator. So basically when mostly like Western / sometimes Christian academics first started studying like Hinduism in an academic context, they basically compared 3 of the sub gods in the Hindu pantheon to the Holy Trinity in Christianity. So in Christianity, you have the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. One sec. And in Hinduism, basically there is the tri-symbolism prevalent in a lot of stuff, including in the feminine sides of gods. And the basic way that most Hinduism works for most Hindus, I think it's fair to say, is that there's Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, and Shiva, the destroyer. And they're 3 sides to birth, life, death type symbolism, but in the universe as well. So Brahma would be the one that has created everything, and Vishnu is kind of responsible for the procreation, preservation, growth, development, that type of things. And then Shiva is symbolic of periods of destruction, recycling, rebirth, basically that tail to head type connection, end to end, tail to head. What? Okay. So that division, it's not always the thing that everyone looks at, because even within Hindus and Hinduism, there's billions of people that practice it, and different sub religions branch off things. Just like there's a billion different types of churches. There's the same type of stuff going on in Hinduism as well. Same type of stuff happening between Muslims. Like, it happens everywhere. And I just realized I never, like, explained that I didn't want you to see the state on my driver's license, which is what was showing. That is... I could have just let it go. Okay, so anyways, it's just that point, once we hit a certain point and my brain just farts, it needs a sec to reboot. So I'm sure you guys have things like that. Okay, anyways, so we were talking about the divisions. Yeah, and so there's also, like, each of those gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, they have their, like, wives who are seen as, like, the Tri-Devis, So, like, I think sort of, well, sometimes Saraswati, sometimes it's complicated, but there's some stuff with Brahma's wife, basically. That's not, there's some stuff. And then for Vishnu, there's Lakshmi Devi, and then for Shiva, there's Parvati. And Ganapati is actually one of the sons of Shiva and Parvati, and he's seen as, he's the elephant god, if you've seen that before. There's a lot of stories that go along with him as well, but he's kind of like the writer god, in most cases, and yeah, so like that's why he's being invoked as like the scribe. So Brahma is who Vyasa meditates on, and then he's like, hey, what do I do to get the story out there? And Brahma's like, ask Ganapati. And he's like, okay. And then he asks Ganapati, and Ganapati appears. And that's where we were. But there was one more thing. What was that? One sec, I'm trying to remember. Big mega breath. I needed a... Okay. It's just my posture, too. I'm, like, sinking down. Okay. What was it? So I was talking about... Oh, yeah. So I was saying, like, there's, like, it's not necessarily that three-sided division amongst Hindus, and, like, for all Hindus as well, because, like, one thing I can think of, for example, is there's a lot of people that'll be, like, they're only, like, mainly devotees of Shiva, or they're only devotees of Vishnu and stuff, and that's the thing. I'm not necessarily, like, my family didn't specifically come from, like, that type of a background. We kind of came more from, like, like, Sai Baba Bhakts type of a side of things, which is a whole nother thing, but he was basically, like, a person that lived on Earth that was then kind of idolized, and his teachings and philosophy and stuff. And he was big on, like, stop fighting Christians, Muslims, and Hindus. Why are you fighting? That's dumb. God is all chill. Why you not chill? And they were like, oh my God, you're so right. He was like, also, sit down, be humble. And they were like, yes. And that's, like, he was very cool. But that's, like, a whole another, like, sub type of thing, And what was I trying to say? Oh, yeah, but me personally, like, I also, as someone that, like, I grew up, and then I learned about, like, all these gods and blah, blah, blah. And, like, for me, I personally loved Shiva. My partner knows this. Shiva, there's a lot of reasons. One, he's kind of, like, the queerest god that there is, so automatic bonus points there because I feel seen. He's basically considered to be, like, a joint half and half spirit thing with Parvati and him. In dance as well, they're often depicted a lot of times as, like, one side is Shiva with his damaru, which is, like, this drum that you, like, shake and do-do-do-do-do-do, and then on the other side is Parvati, and she's, like, and you do both, like, as part of the same posture to show that they're, like, one and the same divine soul being. It's very cool. But also as the person of, like, recycling destruction, recycling, Shiva tells you to recycle. I mean, honestly, he would. Shiva would say reduce, reuse, and recycle, and he would also say that thrift stores are valid, and white girls should stop making them expensive for everyone, and taking things away from poor people sometimes. Who said that? Who said that? Who said that? Sorry, that was opinionated of me. I don't hate white girls. I don't. As much as my partner likes to joke about that, it's just a running joke. I don't. I have nothing against you. I just think that once you've lived a life within, like, this much privilege, you get to a point where you have access to things that make you a better person, a more educated person, a more aware person, especially aware of the people that are inhabiting the same world as you. And this applies to everyone. That's the thing, is it's not just white people, it's brown people as well. I get very, very frustrated with lots of Desi people and lots of Asian people because I'll see them, you know, running off of the same bread and butter that I was raised on, and then also the American dose of education, and then the internet. There's just a lot of things. And the thing is, I'm not going to judge, but I'm going to try to make learning more accessible, interdisciplinary learning, that is, and cultural appreciation and discussions. I'm recording. It's going. What? I can't see her face. I don't have my glasses on. I don't know where I was at. That's my brother. He says hi, I think. Or he thinks I'm crazy. Probably both. Oh, it's a good bathroom break. Go piss, girl. Actually, I can cut it here and then restart the next one. So I'll do that.